That looks delicious. Hi, I'm Anita Shepard from Anita's Yogurt, and I'm at home in Brooklyn, and I'm gonna be sharing my phenomenal recipe for tres leches cake with you. If you like what you see here today, don't forget to hit like and also subscribe for more of these videos. I don't want you to miss the next one. This recipe has 4 components. We're gonna make the world's lightest, spongiest vegan sponge cake. My twist on a plant-based soaking liquid for the tres leches to give it that signature wet texture. The third component is going to be a coconut whipped cream. And on top of that, a strawberry sauce. It's just magic, all these 4 components together. So let's get cracking. So right now, I'm sifting out 4 cups of all-purpose flour. So there's number 3, number 4, and now it's really weird that we're also gonna add an extra tablespoon of flour, but that's just how we get the right weight. So there it goes. With that, we are also going to sift the baking powder, 1 1/4 teaspoons salt. I use sea salt, and the arrowroot. This will be our second sift. This is my grandma's sifter. I remember using it at her house when I was a kid. After she passed away, I got a lot of her kitchen stuff. Actually, that's a lie. My mom got them and I stole them from my mom. Sorry, Mom. All right, so this is our last sift, our 3rd sift. And I think I'm actually gonna end up giving it a 4th sift, which is not necessary, but I wanna free up the bowl so that we can use it for our wet ingredients. And all that salt that didn't go through, I'm just gonna dump it in there to combine with the wet ingredients. No problem. We've got our sugar here. I like to use organic sugar to make sure that it's vegan. Our 1 1/4 cup of safflower oil. And I like to kind of get the sugar wet before I add any of the other ingredients. In also goes the zest of 1 lemon, and adding the zest adds a nice bright note. Then we're also gonna add the vanilla, vinegar. This is gonna help react with the baking powder to give the cake some rise. And one of our magic egg substitute ingredients is this kabocha squash puree. If you are not into the idea of buying a whole kabocha squash, you can substitute canned pumpkin. Just make sure you get one that's unsweetened. So wet, dry, let's get started on our flax egg. All you need for this is flax seeds and warm water. So we have the warm water. The warm water is just gonna encourage the flax to froth up. We have 3 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon of ground golden flax seeds. First, we're gonna blend until we see it get white and frothy. Now we're gonna add the milk to this, and it's gonna get even more frothy and light. So 1 2/3 cup milk. All right, slightly more effort than cracking open an egg, but I'm all about plant-based for multiple reasons, so it's worth the effort for me. I'm gonna give this another stir just to get the oil and the sugar incorporated. Let's go in with the flax egg mixture. Okay, now we're ready to add the dry, and it can just all go in at once. So we're gonna fold this in to the point that there's no large pockets of flour, but we're gonna leave it lumpy. So our batter's done, and you can see that it's still lumpy. It's gonna be good. I have my buttered and floured pan here. I like to do the buttering and flouring on a naked pan with this because I feel like that gives the batter like a trellis to climb up. The batter is Romeo and I'm Juliet. Another weird vegan baking trick I'm gonna show you is my oven isn't hot yet. Once I get this batter in the pan, I am then gonna preheat my oven. I have found that if I give a cake 10 to 15 minutes of time to proof, even though it's just baking soda and vinegar in there, it's gonna rise a little better than if I just stuck it in the oven fresh out of the bowl. It's gonna go in the oven for about 25-30 minutes, but the first 5 minutes of those, it's going to be at 400. And then after 5 minutes, we're gonna turn it down to 375 and it's gonna bake at 375 for the remainder of the time. 15 minutes has passed. The oven is hot. As you can see, the batter has risen quite nicely. Just a little bit. Can you notice? Did you notice? I'm gonna stick this in the oven. While that's baking, we're gonna make our soaking liquid. We're gonna start with 3 cans of unsweetened light coconut milk. I'm gonna get the heat going. And to that, we're gonna add an additional 2 cups of unsweetened plain almond milk. And then to those, we are gonna add a whopping 2 cups of maple syrup. The reason you have to do that is because if it's not sweet enough, the milk won't get absorbed by the cake. You'll pour it and it'll either sit on top of the cake and pool on top of the cake, or it'll sink underneath and lift it up and you'll have this like floating cake on top of milk. But let's add the last component, which is gonna be a 1/4 cup of cognac. We're gonna let this come to a low boil, high simmer. Is that a thing? There it is. This beautiful soaking liquid started to bubble. So I've now turned off the heat. That has to set aside to cool completely to room temperature. While that is cooling and the cake is baking, lo and behold, I already have a cake that I baked a couple days ago. And I also have some soaking liquid that I made yesterday. This is my favorite part of the recipe besides spreading the whipped cream. That's a lot of fun. What I usually do is I go around on a diagonal, starting with my edges here. Something we want to make sure we do here is get that liquid into the cake. Now I'm gonna go around the other way. And don't worry about this being ugly. This whole thing is gonna get covered up. We're gonna be starting from the center. And what we wanna do is add just enough to cover this cake and get into all those holes we just made. I'm gonna give this a couple minutes to soak in and then I'm gonna hit it with the rest. Sipping up all that milk, all that cognac, all that maple. All right, so that's had a few minutes. We're just gonna go around again, just to get all those holes filled up with this gorgeous milk. One thing to note as we go adding the liquid is it happens on a curve. The more liquid you add, the slower it is going to absorb. Okay, we've got all the liquid in the cake, and as you can see, it needs to sit overnight and get completely evenly distributed. We want all that liquid to go into the sponge of the cake. So I'm gonna get this covered. This is gonna go in the fridge until tomorrow. We're gonna cover it with the frosting and the strawberry sauce and a crunchy topping that I'll show you. And it's just gonna be a dream. Welcome back. Our cake has been in the fridge soaking all night, and now we are going to do the coconut whip. I like to whip my cream in an ice bath, and I basically just slide a bowl of ice under the bowl of the mixer. You can also use a hand mixer for this. It works excellent, but I don't have a hand mixer. I'm gonna use my stand mixer. This is the cream scraped from the top of 4 13.5 ounce cans of coconut milk. This is full fat coconut milk. All right, it's nice and smooth. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna add my confectioner sugar, 1/4 cup. I also have a 1/4 cup of arrowroot starch. For this part of the recipe, the arrowroot acts as the stabilizer in this frosting so that once we aerate it, the arrowroot is there as a backup support. I'm just stopping to scrape down the bowl, and I'm gonna add the rest of our ingredients, and then we're gonna kick it all the way up to the highest speed and let it get nice and fluffy. I'm going to add our tablespoon of vanilla, teaspoon of almond. Also, add the zest of a whole lemon. One thing I like is to have the liquid we've reserved from the bottom of the cans on the side here. I'm just gonna go 1 tablespoon at a time. All right, we've got a nice texture here. It's still holding its shape. It's nice and fluffy. Now I'm just gonna do a little bit of hand whisking to finish this off. All right, that's good to go. So let's grab the cake. I'm gonna try to get a ridge going around all 4 sides so that I have something to hold in the strawberry sauce. That's ready. So this is now gonna go in the fridge for about 15 minutes. I've got the strawberry sauce that I made yesterday and some beautiful toasted coconut flakes here. I'm gonna grab the cake so we can finish decorating it. And you could make the sauce the same day as the whipped cream. You just wanna make sure that when you go to pour it on here, that it's at room temperature or colder. All right, that looks great. So now this is going to get some coconut flakes on the top. The coconut flakes give it a beautiful finish and also a really nice crunch. All right, that is good to go. So now I'm gonna get this back in the fridge so that the glaze has some time to set. I would say anywhere between preferably an hour to overnight until you're ready to serve. It is time for the moment of truth. Let's eat cake. Very nice. That looks delicious. Yummy. All right. This is definitely the best vegan cake I have ever had. It's just got so many good things going on at the same time. Just the right level of moisture, a nice thick layer of whipped cream, this nice tart strawberry sauce, and then you've got the crunch from those coconut flakes. You can find me at Anita's Yogurt Geek or at Anita's Yogurt. Be sure to follow Food52, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. And if you enjoyed this, please comment and let me know which recipes you want to see me make. What recipes do you want to see veganized next? Thanks for joining us.